Okay, this is part 2 known type in WCF video series. In this video we will discuss known type attribute in WCF. We will be working with the same example that we started in part 1, so please watch part 1 before proceeding. Let's assume in our organization we have two types of employees, that is full-time employees and part-time employees. The properties that are common to both of these employees types are present in the base class. Base class is employee class. Okay, this is the base class. And the property is specific to full-time employee, which in this case is annual salary, that once is present in the full-time employee class. And similarly, hourly pay and hours work properties are specific to part-time employee class. Alright, here these two classes, full-time and part-times, are related by inheritance with the base class employee. If you look at the employee service that we have implemented in the previous sessions, means look at this get employee operation contract. It is returning the base type. This is the base type class, and the save employee is expecting the base type class employee. Okay, now we actually want to create an application that can save full-time employee and get full-time employee, and in a similar fashion I should be able to save part-time employee and get part-time employee back. Okay, these operation contracts should be able to return the desired types. These operation contracts should these operation contracts should be able to return the desired types, that is full-time employee and part-time employee back. And similarly, this method save employee should be able to accept those derived types. Okay, so in order for the WCF service to be able to do that, we need to associate these derived types as known types. Okay, here as known type. And how do we do that? There are several ways. One of the way is doing it programmatically in code using KnownTypeAttribute. We can also do this declaratively in the configuration file, which we will discuss in our next video. Okay, so first let's go ahead and create these two classes. So go to and create these two classes. First of all, we need to add a class. Where is the class? Class, okay. Full-time employee and part-time employee, we need to create these two classes. So how do we go to, first of all, employee service, what has happened? Where is the class? I think okay, again we add new item. I think we should click at the class, है ना? Yeah, right. Go to here and class, and let's call this full-time employee. Okay. Click OK. Now make it public. And give it the property public and annual salary. Okay. There is only one property in this full-time employee class, and to alright, now let's go ahead and add part-time employee class. How do you gonna again go to this here and click add, go to class and name it as part-time employee class. Click add. Now again make it public. Okay. Now this part-time employee has two properties: hourly pay and hours worked. So public and public hours worked. Alright, now within our employee.cs class itself, so if you look at our employee class, at the moment we already have, so go to the employee class. So in this class we already have at the moment ID, name, gender, date of birth properties. We need to introduce the type property. So basically type property is going to tell whether employee is full-time or part-time, and we gonna make use of an enum to do that. So what we need to do in this class, go to here, okay, public enum employee type, employee type, and full-time employee is equal to 1 part-time employee is equal to 2. And here you need to specify public employee type So within the employee class itself, I am going to create that enum. I have created the enum. So let's call this enum employee type, and then we want to say the first item within this enum is going to be, what item is going to be? Full-time employee, and we want that value to be equal to 1. And part-time employee, and let's specify the value as 2. All right, and one more thing, we need type property, okay, within the employee class. So this is employee class, so let's go ahead and create a type property. We have created this, so the data type is employee type. Data type is employee type enum, and let's call property type, and let's make this an auto implemented property. This one is the auto implemented property. Alright, so at the moment we have designed our classes, okay, and we have forgotten one more thing. One important thing. We have forgotten one important thing. We need to make this class full-time employee inherit from employee class. In similar fashion, part-time employee should also inherit from employee class. So let's, as you can see, this is the inherited from base class employee. So let's go ahead and do that. Where to go? Come here, and where is the full-time inherited from base class employee? Okay, similar to full part-time inheriting from base class employee. Okay, now we need to associate these known type, and in order to do that, employee class is the base class. So here, within the data contract attribute, means here with the data contract attribute we can so type here, what you can type here, known type, one known type with the type of full-time, employee, and second known type is part-time employee. I think some mistake is getting there. Okay, let's check it. Part-time. What is happening to it? PA. Part-time employee. And what is this giving an error? what's going on with it. Known type, two known type have to be implemented here. The namespace part-time could not be found. You are missing directives. I don't think that we are missing any directive. Do we? Check it here again. EMPLOY employee. Ent. Here we are getting mistake. Employee service. PRT part TIM time EMPLOY. Okay. This is the causing of error. Note this. Now go back to employee service. And here we are getting an error. Okay. So we have declared decorate to the employee class to known-type attributes. So employee class is the base class. So here within the data contract attribute we can use known-type attribute, and you need to specify the known type, and to do that we are going to use this overloaded version. We have not shown you, but overloaded version specified number of methods where it expects that type, and to get the type we use type of. We have used the type of keyword, and one of the known type is full-time employee and the other known type is part-time employee. And we are doing this programmatically within the code. In our next video we will see how to do this declaratively within the configuration file attribute. Now let's first modify the database table. If you look at the database table, now go to the database table. Here we will have to do, so you can see we have already, at the moment this is the state of the table. Come on here, I want to minimize it. So as in part 1, so we have only ID, name, gender and date of birth. Now we need employee type, annual salary, hourly pay and hours work column in this table. And to speed things up, again I have written the SQL script to add those columns. So we are altering the table, adding employee type, annual salary, hourly pay and hours work, all of them type integer. So let's go to the database, and here is the alter script, SQL script. Copy this and paste it here. Okay, now run it, execute the query. Query is executed, and check the table. So we have got all the columns here. Now let's get rid of this data. So how to get rid of this data? Again, go to the notepad and copy this query. Go back to your and come here, paste it, and delete this data. How gonna delete? So data is deleted successfully. Again, run this, execute this query. So we have got this. Alright, so at the moment we have got the columns that we need. Now another thing that we need to do is we need to modify the stored procedure as well, because look at this, when we click get employee, we want to get all the columns. If you look at here the presentation slide, we have to got all the columns. Okay, this one. At the moment this get employee is only retrieving ID, name, gender and date of birth. So let's also include these columns in this statement. So let's go to the notepad again. Here you can see the altered procedure for both. Copy both of them, altered, copy both of them and go to back to the SQL, and here paste this SQL script for both the stored procedure and execute them one by one. Execute first sp get employee method. Now this stored procedure should retrieve all the columns from the database table. In a similar fashion, save employee, we are now passing the additional 4 parameters. As you can see, 4 parameter: employee type and temp, annual salary and is equal to null, hourly pay and is equal to null, hours and null. Now one thing notice here is we made annual salary, annual hourly pay and hours work nullable. The default values are null. So if you don't supply a value for annual salary, then null will be stored in the database. And similarly, in similar fashion, hourly pay and hours work, that is basically because when we save full-time employee will not have values for hourly pay and hours work, so they need to be null, and which means we will not be passing values for those parameter, in which case it will insert null into those columns. Okay, that is why we have specified null for those columns as the default. All right, so let's alter this procedure. So let's alter this sp save stored procedure. Okay, so from the database side we have done. Now we want to change the behavior of the employee service as well. So let's flip to Visual Studio, and if you look at the employee service at the moment, this get employee, go to the service, and here look at this get employee. It is calling sp get employee. Okay, but look at this, we are only populating ID, name, gender and date of birth, as you can see here. And if you look at this object type employee, it is actually of type employee. Okay, this object is actually type employee, of type is actually of type employee. Okay, Now, based on the type of the employee that we have within the database, we need to create that type of object and return that object back only. Okay. So in the database, we are not going to have just an employee object. We will either have full-time employee object or a part-time employee object. And how do we know whether if a particular row correspond to full-time employee or part-time employee? That depend on this employee type column. Okay. Employee type column, this one. Okay. If employee type is 1, then we know it is a full-time employee. So if you recollect within the enum, we have specified the value. Go to the So if you recollect within the enum, we have specified the value of 1 is full-time employee value, of 2 is part-time employee. Okay, so what we need to do? So what we need to do within service now, in employee service, we need to first check if there is database value is 1 or 2. And depending on that, we will either create a full-time employee object or a part-time object. Okay. And just the logic that we usually write, this is related to inheritance. Now since part-time employee and full-time employee classes are related with employee class through inheritance. Okay. These can be returned back and as a type, that is general inheritance concept. But for the WCF service to be able to return them, we need to specify them as known types. Okay. So now let's go to our employee service, copy this code and paste it within this block. So which code we need to copy? Come to the notepad, search for employee.service. Okay, we need to copy this code. Copy that code. And paste it here in the employee service class. So once again, look at back the notepad. Okay, this much to be copied and pasted here. Okay, here we get 8 errors because of this one. Now okay, before we go through this code, the first thing that we have to do here is we don't want to create an employee object anymore. Let's actually initialize that to null. So go to up here, as you can see, go back to your copied section of here you can see we have initialized employee object to null. So same thing we have to do in the get employee block. Here initialize it to null. Okay. And then look at what we are doing here. So this code is common, whatever this code is common, this one, whatever we have written in the previous session. Now this is the code we copied and pasted. The copied and pasted code is this one. So what are we doing here? We are retrieving the column value. Column value is what? This one is the column value of employee type, and then we are typecasting it to be of type employee type. Typecasting to be of employee type enum. Okay, and if that column value is equal to full-time employee, then look at what we are doing. We are creating a full-time employee object. Okay, and then retrieving an ID, name, gender, date of birth, and we are specifying the type of full-time employee, and full-time employee has got annual salary property, this one. So we are assigning that value there. All right. If it is not full-time employee, then we know it is going to be a part-time employee. So it comes to the else part, and within the else part we are creating an instance of part-time employee. This is the instance of part-time employees object, and to part-time employee these two properties are specific: hourly pay and hours worked. In which case we are retrieving those values from the database columns and then populating these properties, and look at the type part-time employee, and then we are finally returning that employee object back here. So straightforward code there. Okay, so that is what get employee. Now in similar fashion we need to modify the save employee. Now look at this, what are we getting into this method, means into the save employee method, what we are getting. Base type employee object, and keep in mind we have added type property base type object, base type employee object, and keep in mind we have added type property to this class base employee, and based on that type we are going to create parameters and then send them to the database table. Okay, so basically until this point ID, name, gender, date of birth, these are common for both of the employees. So that code not going to change. So what is going to be changed here in this part? So let's go to and copy. Let's go to and copy the code from Notepad what you need to copy from here? You need to copy from here SQL parameter to down to the this much of code you need to copy it and go back to your employee service.cs class and paste it here. This code looks lengthy, but basically some piece of code copy pasted. So we have date of birth until this point we have discussed earlier it, and this piece that we have copied and pasted. So if you look at this, we are creating another SQL parameter, employee type SQL parameter. Okay, where we are, if you look at genders, so here you can see SQL parameter employee type. So that is the name of the parameter, and we got the employee type using the type property of the employee object. Okay, then we adding the parameter to the command object. Adding the parameter to the command object. And then look at this is what is important. So here we are checking the type. Here we are checking the type. So we are this employee object is what is coming into this method as a parameter. Means if you go to the method, save method up. Okay, here. So how are we getting the type of that object? Using get type method. This is the get type method. Look at what it is returning. It is returning the type back, and then we are saying okay, equal to full-time employee class. If that is the case, then create parameter for annual salary, and typecast the object to full-time employee, typecast the object employee to full-time employee. Retrieve annual salary property value, and then set that as a value for this parameter. And add the parameter to the command object. If it is not a full-time employee, means it is going to be a part-time employee, in which case we are passing the parameter for the part-time employee. Okay, in this else part we are passing the parameter for the part-time employee. So here hourly pay and then hours worked. Okay, again we are typecasting the object here to part-time employee, this employee to typecasting it to part-time employee, and then getting the respective property values. Okay, so straightforward code there again, and this bit does not change. This bit does not change. So we open the connection, execute the non-query, which is going to execute this stored procedure. Where is the stored procedure? This stored procedure, and we have already modified this stored procedure sp save employee to include all these parameters. Okay, so basically at this point we are done with the service. Okay, so now let's actually close the host that is already running and let's rerun the project. So we have to close this host once and let's rerun the project. So the host has started. So the configuration and the hosting code does not change in any way. Now let's get to the WSDL document. So let's go to the base address. How to go to the WSDL? Come here and copy this HTTP and copy this and paste in the browser. Where is the browser? We need to go to the browser here, Google Chrome, and paste the base address. Click that, and now here from you need to click this one. So let's after clicking the URL, it should have the schema for the employee object. So let's copy this schema location. Copy and paste in another instance of Google Chrome. Paste it here. Look at that, we got the schema for employee object. Here you can see that ID, name, gender, date of birth. Now let ID, name, gender, date of birth. Now let's take this URL, means this one, okay, copy this URL and paste it in another instance of Google Chrome. Paste it here. Now here look at this, we have the schema for our complex type. Which is full-time employee. This full-time employee has got annual salary. And we have a part-time employee which has got hourly pay and hours worked. Now let's go back to our employee service.cs file, means go to the employee.cs file. Now look at this employee type, means here you need to go here and employee. Here you can see the employee type is not decorated with the data member attribute. And if you look at the employee object here, means here it does not have that property serialized. Okay, so we forget to do that. So let's go ahead and include data member attribute here, and we want the order of serialization to be number 5. So go back to the employee class and copy this data member and paste it here, give it number 5. So once again close the host that we have run already. Close this. and rerun it again. Now let's refresh. Okay, minimize it. Now refresh the. Here you can see there is no serialized data of employee type, so refresh it. Okay, you know employee type that is going to be present in this file now. So again refresh it. So now let's refresh. We have refreshed the page. Look at this, and look at this. We have that enums are simple type enums. Okay, enums are simple type, so that is why it says simple type here. So employee type enum, and this enum has got two values: full-time employee. Look at this one, and part-time employee value is 2. Okay, so that is our enum. So that is our enum, and that is our full-time, and that is our part-time, full-time and part-time. Okay, so now within the visual we have the XML representation of those objects. All right, so now client should be able to build proxy classes. Now what is going to happen if we don't let's go to the service means if we don't decorate this employee class with known type, means here if we don't decorate this class with employee type, decorate with this known type, then what does happen? So comment this and comment these attributes. Let's close the host once again. Okay, and rerun the host. Okay, and go back to. So here you can see this is the simple type. Before refreshing it, we show you we are getting those value for full-time and part-time employee. If we uncommented the known type attribute, then see the result. So what? So look at this moment, we have employee type enum. Okay, full-time employee, part-time employee, all three. But we don't have part-time employee. And full-time employee, that is basically because we do not. Okay, first of all we need to go here, refresh it and refresh it. Basically because we did not specify the known type, so let's go ahead and here you can see we don't have a part-time employee and full-time employee. That is basically because we did not specify the known type. Okay, so let's go ahead and uncomment these code. All right, so now close the host once again and rerun the host. First of all, go back to your here on comment this. And close the host and rerun the host once again. Minimize it, go back to browser and again refresh it. So we got the full times and part times all properties there. And let's go to the client and then update the service reference. So here we have the uh, our client and refresh the service. Update the service. How to update the service? From here. So now once this is updated, we should have full-time employee, part-time employee, employee type in everything within employee service namespace. Okay. Now when we click button get employee, what should happen? We should be able to retrieve depending on whether we have entered the full-time ID or part-time ID. We should be able to get that employee and display them. Now if you look at the moment the web form design within the client applications, go to the web form. We only have ID, name, gender and date of birth. Now we want to design our form with all the fields. Basically that is employee type. We need drop down list like that. Annual salary, hourly pay and hours worked. So we need to implement that HTML, and to speed things up I already have typed that HTML. So let's copy and paste it on that web form. So first of all you need to go to client, source code, and here you need to copy and paste coding for HTML right below this. Okay, so go to the notepad and search for form 1 coding. Yeah, that is the coding we need to copy from here, tr, so which part of coding you need to copy? I think this much coding part is required to copy. If you go below, not here, so go to the coding here and paste the coding here. So we have pasted our coding in our desired place, and you can rearrange them like this. Okay. So let's flip to source mode. If you go to the source design mode. Okay, so and then let's actually flip to the design mode. Okay. And if you look at this, it is again straightforward HTML. Okay, so we have employee type, drop down list and text boxes for these three. If you look at this drop down list at design time, I have specified 3 list item. Okay, the first list item says select employee type. Okay. And value for that is -1 for full employee. Remember the enum value is 1, so I have specified the value as 1. For part-time employee it is 2. So straightforward code. And then what we need to do is we need to set auto post back to true. Auto post back to true. So go to the property. Where is the auto go? Auto post back for this one. Okay. Where is the auto post back? AUT auto. I am not finding the auto post back. Where is the auto post back gone here? Yeah, auto post back. I think I have already set it to true. Auto post back. Okay. To true. For this drop down list, so that when the selection changes, the drop down list is automatically going to post back to the server. And then within this, what we need to, let's say for example we want store full-time employee into the database table. So when you select full-time employee, it should only show annual salary table. Means you need to also click here. Okay. On the other hand, if we select part-time employee, it should display hourly pay and hours work and hide annual salary. Okay, and in order to do that, I have got some code here. So go to the notepad again and copy the required codes for is the code. Yeah, you need to copy this code and paste it in the section. Yeah, paste it here. So within the client, so we are saying if the selected value is -1, which means we have not selected anything, then we are hiding all three of them. Okay, all the table rows, which means the annual salary, hourly pay, hours work, nothing will be displayed. On the other hand, if the value is 1, that means we want full-time employee detail. That means we want full-time detail, in which case only show the annual salary table row, don't show hourly pay and hours work. On the other hand, if it is not full-time employee, if it is not, please select employee, which is the first option. Then this selection is for part-time employee. In which case display these two, hourly pay and hours worked, and hide annual salary. If you look at this TR, all these TR are nothing but table rows. Or within the HTML, what I have done is for those table rows, annual salary, look at this table, annual salary run at server. This is the table row. I have given an ID and run at server so that we can use that ID to dynamically hide and display and then initialize. Initially, when the form first loads, we are setting the visibility of those rows to false. Okay, all right. So that is straightforward. Drop and down list, selected index change code there, and then now the important thing is get employee. So when we click get employee, we should so important thing is get employee here. We should determine what type of employee we are getting, and then based on that, we need to display the respective labels and text boxes. And again, to speed things up, I have the code already implemented, so let's copy those code and let's flip. So what code we need to copy? Come to the notepad again, and here copy this code for the get employee and go to the client. Here you need to paste it here. Okay, as you can see, we have not deleted this much of code. Text name and text gender, this will remain same, as you can see here. Okay, so if you look at this code is again straightforward. Look at this get employee, look at this get employee is going to return an employee object back. Okay, and we are checking the employee type. Here the get employee is going to return an employee object back. Okay, this get employee, and here we are checking the employee type. So is the employee full-time employee, and look at the employee type enum. Employee type enum is also present, and that is present in employee service namespace. So this employee enum is present in the employee service namespace. Employee type, this employee type enum is present in employee service namespace. Okay, so if it is full-time employee, then set this row this text box. Which text box? Text annual salary text box, this one. Okay, value to annual salary, and look at this, we are typecasting employee object to be of full-time employee. This one. Okay, we are typecasting the employee object to be full-time employee, and then we are retrieving annual salary property value, assigning that as the text for this text box. And then we are showing that table row. That table row, we are displaying it, and we are hiding hourly pay and hours work. We are hiding hourly pay and hours work table rows. Else if it is not full-time employee, then we know it is going to be part-time employee, in which case display values within the text box, that is hourly pay and hour works text box, and then hide annual salary rows, and display hourly pay and hours work rows. Okay, straightforward code. And then we also need to set the selected value within the drop down list. So select employee.type, we need to typecast it to integer. Okay, because selected value is a string. So what are we doing here? We are typecasting it to an integer and converting that to a string. Okay, it will be the 1 or 2 in a string format, and then what value will be selected into the drop down list, and then the reset is common. So name, gender, date of birth, it should happen as normal. And then finally, within label control, you are saying employee retrieved. All right, now the next step is save employee, and again the code is right here, straightforward .NET code. So let's copy. So we have to copy the code from the notepad. So go to the notepad. Here we have to copy this much of code from here. If and how much code we have to copy? We have to copy this much of code, and see it, watch it carefully. Go back. Now here you don't need this piece of code, and paste it here. I am getting 2 error here. It should be a small ID, and 1 error is getting of what? Which one is error is this? Part-time employee does not contain ID. I have done it. Okay, it should also be a lowercase. Okay, so here we have an employee object. This one. Okay, employee object. Now again, we don't have to create this employee object here. We can initialize that to null. So if you see the coding here, you see that this is the null. Go back to initialize. This should be a null. Okay, and then we are saying if employee type is, look at this within the drop down list. We are saying where we need to go here. Okay, look at this. Within the drop down list, we are taking the selected value and we are converting that to an integer, and then we are typecasting it to enum means employee type. We are typecasting this selected value to enum. Okay, because the selected value will return a string, whether 1 or 2 that you have selected. Okay, and then we need to convert that to an integer. Okay, convert that to an integer, because the underlying type for this enum is an integer. Okay, and then we are comparing that. Okay, is it full time? If that is the case, go ahead, create a full-time employee object. Create a full-time employee object. For some reason this okay, so we are assigning ID, name, gender, date of birth, type as full-time employee, and annual salary we are retrieving it from the text box, converting it to an integer. Okay, converting it into an integer and assigning it there, and then we are passing that employee object to the save employee. Okay, look at this. In spite of it being a full-time employee, we are passing it to the save employee. Save employee expects the employee object. Okay, but we are able to pass it as okay, and within the message we display employee saved. On the other hand, if the employee type is part-time employee, then create a new instance of part-time employee object and then assign name, gender, date of birth, and then look at this. Means we here part-time, we create a instance of part-time employee. This is the instance of creation of part-time employee, and then assign name, gender, date of birth, and then look at this. We are setting type to part-time employee, hourly pay, and hours work. We are retrieving from respective text boxes and saying, means here and saying employee and displaying that message. Which message? If it is not a full-time employee, if it is not a part-time employee, then it is going to be else part. Here is the else part. This one. Okay, in which case it will say please select employee type, because we have selected the first options. Please select employee type options. Okay, so that's it, we are done. So let's go ahead and run this and see if it works as expected. So run the service. So now let's first say, let's see this drop down list. Full-time employee, drop down list, full-time employee. Look at that, it only display annual salary. Part-time employee, it only display hourly pay and hours work. If I select employee type, nothing gets displayed. All right, now if we click save, look at what is going to happen. Please select employee type. Okay, now let's actually create a full-time employee. Let's say one. Mark, male, date of birth 10/10/1982, and let's say his annual salary, means full-time employee, is 60,000. Click the employee saved. Let's go to the database, actually check the table. Go to the database, and here we will see now. Select it, click, so we get ID, name, gender, date of birth, employee type is 1, as you can see here. For full-time employee, annual salary is 60,000, and look at hourly paid and hours was basically null. Now let's create a part-time employee. Means go back to the and ID number 2, Mary, name it as Mary, female, her date of birth is 11/10/81. Hourly pay may be 250. Hourly pay may be 250 and hours work 40, and save. So employed save. Let's check the database table again. We got second record or not. Go to the database table and again execute the query. So we notice annual salary null, but we have values for hourly pay and hours worked. Now let's actually check if the get operation works as expected. So go to 1 and click 1, marks details, and for 2, perfectly done. We get that employee as well. All right, that is for today. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Thank you for watching this video.